Hello, thank you for tuning in. It's Stuart here, classical record collector and seller as well. My website, lpclassical.co.uk. So what I'm going to be doing today is looking through some of the highest selling by value records, vinyl on eBay classical, or at least in the classical section, those that have sold at the highest price in the last few months. I thought that would be interesting to go through, see what things are going for at the absolute top end, and I'll add some commentary on the way. So right at the top here we can see Sergeant Pepper. I've been told that the Nimbus Supercut is the one that everybody wants. Okay, the Holy Grail, £5,100. But note, by the way, only two bids. Only two bids. I'm not sure what the bidding started at, but what does that kind of indicate? Well, it indicates that the bidding must have started at quite a high price because, you know, I mean, it may well be that bidding started at £5,000 and they're just two bids. Somebody bid 5,000 probably, and then maybe, no, somebody would have bid just over 5,000 and then and then obviously the winning bid was 5,100. Yeah, so it sort of indicates that there aren't too many people out there prepared to pay that kind of money. Okay, and yeah, and obviously that the bidding must have started at a very high price. Okay, let's go on. I'm not very good at commenting on pop records, so I'll try and stick to classical. So here we are. Yes, it seems to be fairly, it seems that Kogan and Columbia early sort of crisscross silver blue label is an unstoppable combination. We've got here the Tchaikovsky Concerto, near mint, it says, £2,800. Everything's there by the looks of it. The original sleeve, inner sleeve, and the jacket looks pretty good. So, well, lucky dealer that got that record and has probably made a good amount of money on that record. Riverside Records, Rotherham, well done. And I mean, based on the prices that I've seen, that seems quite reasonable. They seem to be going for anything between sort of £2,000 and £4,000. The SAX Kogans. I've made a video previously on why these particular records sell for such large amounts of money, so I won't go over that information again. So we've got Bruckner here, Schuricht, Symphony No. 8 on 2 records. It is quite rare actually. When I was dealing at my peak in the 90s, I never had this set, so that's pretty good. You see he started the bidding here at 99p and he's got 17 bids on it. That's actually, if I was selling an expensive record, I would start it off probably at a very low price to get lots of people involved because it's more interesting. And if you've got a really good record, there's no danger that it's going to sell for like, I don't know, 30 quid. I've got an SXL I'm meaning to sell, an SXL 2000. I picked it up in a charity shop actually. It's in superb condition and it's Tchaikovsky and Dvorak violin concertos with Ricci playing, and sonically it's just absolutely outstanding. So I haven't sold it, but if I did decide to sell it on eBay, I'd probably start it off at 99p. And the reason for that being that I'm confident that there would be enough big end buyers on eBay for me to get a good price out of that record, which would probably be about, I don't know, I would expect it to fetch about £300 probably. But there's no danger it's going to sell for 20 or 30 quid. No, that's not going to happen. So yeah, this seller started at 99p. He's got £2,080, which, you know, it's a nice set. I'd love to have it, but, you know, it's way out of my range. Samson Francois, Clayton's Ravel Piano Concertos, £820. So I don't know. I mean, that record, in a way, I'm surprised that it sells for that amount of money. But on the other hand, it always, Clayton's in particular, was and is a sought after conductor. Okay, let's move on. Brahms Symphony No. 2. This is an SAX. George Sell on Columbia seems to be fetching big money, £700. I've noticed that the orchestral records on the early stereos are not really fetching as much as I might have hoped that they would do, but there are exceptions, and George Sell on Columbia is certainly selling for very big money. £700, 36 bids for the Brahms Symphony No. 2. Right, Milstein, £500. He's not quite in the league of Kogan. Well, I mean, as a violinist, he is, absolutely, of course he is, but as a collectible artist, he doesn't really fetch the same amount of money. He hasn't quite got the same kudos. I think maybe the reason for that is that Milstein was probably at his peak, absolute peak as a violinist in the 1920s and 30s, 40s maybe, and that these stereos were made in the sort of twilight of his career. So you're hearing you're not hearing the greatest Milstein there ever was. I'm not sure, he's about 60 years old maybe when he made this recording. I won't even listen to Menuhin, for example, as I've said before. I mean, I don't listen to Menuhin at all. I just don't think that in the 60s, the records that he was making, I don't think they're worth listening to, because, I mean, he's trading on his name, and he just wasn't that good a violinist in the 60s. Nowhere near as good, obviously, as he was when he was in his 20s. But Milstein was still pretty good in his old age, and Kogan was probably at his peak when he was making these SAXs. Maybe that's one reason why they fetch a lot more money. I don't know. But there's a certain kudos around Russian violinists, particularly Milstein, Kogan, David Oistrakh, on Columbia, not on Melodia, not on any other label, more or less. I mean, okay, Milstein, you could say that on Capitol, which is really, I think it's an EMI offshoot or owned by EMI, I'm not too sure. But yeah, okay. So only 2 bids there, you see, £500. They must have started the bidding quite high, maybe at 500. I don't know. Right, we're going to have a look at this one in detail. Large vinyl collection from a radio station, 5,000 LPs, no reserve, sold for £490. This is the kind of thing that if I'd been aware of it when it was happening, I would have been looking at it with a lot of interest. But having said that, I don't really buy large collections anymore because the market's changed so much. A lot of what I call the chaff, which used to sell, which would make it worthwhile to buy a large collection, no longer sells. So you're buying a collection like this only if you've got a shop and you've got a bargain bin where you can shift a lot of stuff at cheap prices just to get some money back. Or if there are some really good collectibles in it, because it's gone for £490 and you could get one really good record like that Milstein that would pay for the whole lot. And that's fine, but then you've got all the time to sort it out. You've got to get a van, you've got to transport it to your residence, put it all in boxes and everything. And it's a hell of a lot of work, heck of a lot. I mean, if somebody said to me, come and get this lot for nothing, you know, I would probably hesitate about it because of all the work involved. So let's just have a look at the pictures then, shall we? There we are. So I mean, it looks kind of interesting from there, but unless you see what records are actually there, then you know, you don't really know. So somebody's trying to call me, but I'm not going to answer it. I don't know whether you can hear it. So yeah, that's the problem. I mean, if I sort of go up close on this, I can't really see what there is. I can see one record there. You Made Me Love You or something like that. I don't know. I can see some classical that they look like Deutsche Grammophon. They don't look like they're in very good condition, or at least the jackets don't look very good. Which, if it's a radio station, it's been going for a long time. That's not surprising. They've got some kind of, are they singles or what are they, CDs or something? Or I'm not too sure. But it's difficult really to see what there is. And we've seen that picture. We've seen that picture. What are these then? Are they singles or they card? Is it a card index system? I'm not too sure. Oh, that's card index. Obviously, everything was. It was a radio station, so everything had to be well organized. Yeah, I mean, this isn't my, this isn't my sort of thing that I sell anyway, or that I collect. But we can see here, look, I can see Rossini overtures, but I can't see what the label is. I can see there's a CFP, Classics for Pleasure. I can see a Decca SPA. I can see a CFP there. Camden Classics, Decca SPA, Decca SPA, RCA Camden, MFP, MFP. No, not really. I don't really think I'd be much interested in this collection at all. Maybe there's some good pop records, but as for the rest of them, it looks like a lot of budget labels, easy listening and all that kind of thing. Hello Dolly. Yeah, so no, I wouldn't really be. I think that's about it. Yeah, Guys and Dolls. What's that? Is it a soundtrack or a Broadway show or something like that? Oh, and that record, Breakthrough. I've seen that record about 10,000 times in various car boot sales and charity shops. It's funny that he pulls that one out. It's one that would put you off buying it. Yeah, I've seen that one a lot as well. Joe Loss. Party Songs. Yeah, I mean, he's pulling out all the wrong records. Shirley Bassey. It doesn't really Ticket to Ride. Well, there's the Carpenters there. Doris Day. Now, I wouldn't mind having that because I quite like Doris Day, but I'm not going to buy a collection of 5,000 records just to get that one. Now, we can see here Beethoven Piano Concerto No. 5, Claudio Arrau, Piano Concerto No. 3, Claudio Arrau, but we can also see that it's a 33CX 1616. Now, there's a stereo of that. And there's an LXT there, 6 something. And you know what that tells me? It tells me that the radio station was using mono equipment when these records were coming out in the sort of early 60s, when these stereos were appearing. And they probably only had mono equipment to play back off on the radio then, when it was just mono in the 60s. So they only needed mono records. They didn't need stereos, and the big money records are the stereos. So it's not really much good, is it? It's very little hope that there's going to be much here of any value. There's a Deutsche Grammophon there. It's all mixed in, isn't it? Everything's mixed in. Nothing's really organized. Your 100 best tunes. Again, who is this? Who's selling this? Why are they showing all the worst records? Yeah. 2 hours of wonderful opera. Well, I mean, it's all very sort of nice and everything, but no, I wouldn't be interested in that. I wouldn't even take it for nothing, frankly. Okay, so let's just go back to where we were, and yeah, let's just minimize that just quickly. Now this surprised me here, SXL 6355, obviously the wideband edition 1, 461. That's a phenomenal price for that record. I know it's rare in wideband, but wow, that is a fabulous price to get for that record. Marzi 373. Yep, okay. If that's in really good condition, that price looks all right for a Marzi. Yeah, I've noticed as well that the mono Marzis are not fetching. I mean, it used to be that the mono Marzis sold for more than the Kogans back in the 90s. Now the Kogans are outstripping the Marzis by about, 4 or 5 times the price. So there's more interest in the stereos than there is in the monos. Again, George Sell. Now, Oistrakh Violin Concerto. I wonder why that's only sold for 310. I would have expected it to fetch more. Let's have a look at the condition. What do you say about the condition? Vinyl, excellent. Well, I don't know. I would have thought it would go for more money than that. Ah, you see? Yeah, there's some imperfection on the label. That actually would knock a lot of money off for me. That would sort of, that really does sort of distract. I would say that would knock about 20-25% off. The fact that the label's not too good. The jacket, let's have a look. It's a bit frayed at the top. Again, that's something somebody's written on it. All these things reduce the appeal of the record. And it's not too bad at the front. Let's see what he says about it here. I mean, all he's put is both violin sleeve excellent, but please see photo of back cover, which has a small hand. Okay, I don't like the way he's described the condition. Or he's put EXEX. I don't know. I always I mean, if I'm paying big money for a record like that, and if it's an EX, and I drop the stylus and I start hearing crackle, crackle, crackle straight away, I would just ship it straight back. And yet, that's probably exactly what will happen. But maybe not everybody's as fussy as I am. Okay, well, I think that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed it, particularly what I had my comments on the radio station record collection. And I look forward in return to your comments. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.